Welcome back. Today we're going to see what's possible with some of the worst calf I've ever used and see exactly what I can do with it. Let's turn this scrap leather into something beautiful. Today we're making, it's a passport cover, but it could also be used as a notebook cover. They're basically the same dimension. Before you ask me what tanner it's from or what leather it is, I have absolutely no idea. I was sent this scrap leather. I didn't even get the full skin. I literally got what you can see on camera from somebody. They shipped it to me to say, what can you do with this? Now, I'm not open to that normally, but I wanted to accept the challenge, so here we go. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more leather content. Let me know down in the comment section below what you want to see next. Anyway, we're going to be using an Araran goat skin because I wanted to use something rather nice for the lining just because I had it lying around. Anyway, so this is a notebook cover. It's fully lined. I'm using two different types of gluing method. So if you want to catch a video fully about how to glue leather, the different techniques, I will be doing that in the next couple of weeks, so don't forget to subscribe for that as well. The goat skin came at 1.6 millimeters. I'm splitting it down to 1 millimeter. I think it might actually be 0.8, but I can't remember off the top of my head if I'm being perfectly honest. But we're going to use some water-based adhesive for this. I do sometimes use a solvent-based adhesive, but it's not my preference. We're going to be completely laminating this, and again I will be talking about gluing methods in the coming weeks, but we're going to be fully laminating two of the pieces and we're going to be gluing around the edge on the other piece. These two smaller pieces are going to be for the cover of the book. Now, I'm not actually sure what the terminology for that is. If you know, let me know in the comment section, obviously. And because I haven't worked with this leather before, I actually don't know how well it's going to cut or crease or anything really. It ended up to crease rather beautifully, but I did have to get it rather hot. Now, something about grained calf. There's two types of grained calf. There's naturally grained, which is often shrunken, and there's heat embossed grained calf, which is what most grained calf is. And you can tell the difference because heat embossed grain calf won't have the grain all the way to the edge of the leather, because when they put it in the machine it doesn't go all the way to the edge. Now, it was rather hard to crease because it's heat embossed, so you have to put quite a lot of heat into it to get through that already sort of heated process. Now, I'm using a 3mm pricking iron, and I'm using a 0.45mm thread, which is a Misi Superfine M40, because I know you'll all ask. I do have a link to this thread from Leatherbox in my video description, so go pick some up if you feel like doing the same thing. I wanted to try out a different method of measuring thread. Normally I just pull out kind of a long arm's length and go to town essentially, but this time with this project I wanted to see what length of thread was ideal for a run of stitches. And it turns out that 5 times the length is pretty much perfect. Now, I've done a full video on turned edges, which is what this pocket is. This pocket's going to sit on the inside front cover, because when you're using a passport cover, I find that if you like driving to the airport, you're going to need to put the parking ticket somewhere. I don't know what they call that in America. I don't live in America, but you're going to need to put that little ticket somewhere. So I figured keep it with your passport. So that's what I'm doing here. But I've done a full video on how to do a turned edge. That's on my channel. Go check it out if you want to see exactly how I do this, the walkthrough and everything else. But turned edges are, in my opinion, more durable. They can wear out at the top, but the fortunate thing about when they wear out, because they will eventually, is you can just paint over the top. You can unstitch them and paint over the top. If you have a painted edge at the top of a card slot, you then have to take it apart, peel off the old one and put the new one on. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference when I say it out loud just like that, but I prefer a turned edge on a card slot. There we go. As you can see, this leather does crease really well. I was using my adrenaline creasing machine, and that was set to 27, and I left it to heat up for a good half an hour, so it's probably a little bit hotter than that actually. As always, our ran goat skin creases beautifully. Now, why am I creasing the top of this part and only the side of the other part? Good question. So the front inside pocket, the front flap if you like, is going to not be stitched at the top. So it's only going to be stitched on the side and bottom. And the reason for that is because some people in the world, including myself, moronically still use paper boarding passes. Yes, I know it all comes on the phone these days, but I actually like a little bit of security that if my phone breaks halfway through my trip, I can then just have the boarding pass there with me, which is why we're not stitching the top of it to the rest of the body, which we'll see at the end. But for this, we're going to stitch the back all the way around and the front just the side and the bottom. It turns out that 5 times the length when you're doing a kind of normal thickness of leather. So these two layers together came at about 1.8, I think. So the top layer was 1.2 and it was 1.1 mil, and then the lining was 0.8 for this, I believe. I think I said 1 earlier, but it's 0.8. So it turns out for 1.8 mil leather, 5 times the length is ideal. So how do we do a floating pocket? I am not going to walk through exactly how I measured this in this video. I'm going to be doing a video coming up on how to do a floating pocket, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a floating pocket on the inside front panel. Now it's very important that when you're gluing to the surface of the leather, the finished surface, you use a scalpel or knife or blade or something. You use something relatively sharp and abrasive to actually take off the top surface of the leather, because glue or contact adhesive will not stick to leather that is not abraded. It just won't. So you'll end up peeling it off halfway through and it'll make your job of stitching it an absolute nightmare. So take your time, scratch off the top layer of leather, and then your glue or contact adhesive will adhere far more easily. The great thing about masking tape is that you can use it as a guide as well as basically anything else, and that's the main purpose I use masking tape for. But do be careful, because if you're working with a lot of veg tan leather, masking tape can pull the top coat off, which turns into a little bit of a nightmare. Because if you've got this far through a project and then you peel off the top layer, you have to start all over again. Now ordinarily I don't like stitching all the way through so you can see thread on the other side. However, because we're laminating the top layer and the lining layer, I want this to be able to be repaired at some point in the future, because if this is used for decades, I want to be able to repair it. And if the thread is between the two laminated layers, you will never be able to take that apart. So I made the executive decision to stitch it all the way through, and yes, you can see the thread on the back, but fortunately the thread looks quite pretty on the back. Why am I using solvent-based adhesive for this and not the rest? So I'm using a microfiber cloth. It's a polyester cloth to give the outside of the notebook cover a little bit more body. It's a little bit soft as it is, and this polyester microfiber cloth does not stick very well with water-based adhesive. I'm sure you could find a way to do it, but I thought instead of faffing about for 3 hours trying to figure out a way to glue this with water-based adhesive, I'm just going to crack open my solvent-based adhesive and go to town. So that's what we're going to do. Now the midline is really important when you're gluing on a curve. So when I make my patterns and I make them symmetrical, I can then fold the pattern in half so I can mark the center point. It turns into a really good way to do this. Why do we need the center point? So when you're gluing on a curve, I'm obviously not gluing the lining fully to the outside panel. I want to do 2 different gluing methods for this. But when you're doing a lining that is not laminated, you don't really want to do it flat, because when you fold the piece in half, when you fold the booklet in half or the wallet in half or whatever it is, you'll get a lot of wrinkling where there's excess leather. So you want to be able to glue it on a curve more or less in the position it will sit, so you need the center point so that that curve is in the middle. And obviously, because we only glued around the outside, there's no point squeezing the whole thing because it's not glued together. It's only glued about 5mm around the edge. So I'm just using some crimping pliers or some squeezing pliers, I actually don't know what they're called, to squeeze it all together nicely. Now, because I'm punching the holes from the front surface on the inside and the outside, it's an X stitching or cross stitching method. I need to make sure that there's the same number of holes on both surfaces basically. So you need to line it up really carefully so you don't have one more on the inside or one more on the outside, because then you'll end up having too many holes, and that makes the whole thing a bit wrinkled. It's not very nice. And because we're going to scratch off the surface here, I obviously didn't want to scratch off the surface of any leather that's visible, so I'm using the same masking tape technique to stop me from scratching off leather I don't want, because it will mean that I'll have to start all over again, which I really do not want to do at this point. Now you see a lot of makers going around gluing like 10mm into the perimeter of their piece, and then using a bone folder to break the adhesive afterwards. There is absolutely no point doing this. It's a waste of time, glue, money, because glue costs money and it irritates me. So you only need glue where the edges and where the stitches are going to be. You do not need 10 or 20mm of glue up the inside of your project and then break the seal. It's not necessary at all, and it gives it a bit of a squeak at the end, which I don't like very much. That's my rant over, sorry. Here's some stitching. You will notice that there are some threads sticking out. My thread broke halfway around this, which was the most annoying thing on the planet, so I had to start again in the middle, which was slightly frustrating, but it's fine. And then I terminate my thread between the layers of leather, because that way when the edge paint goes on, the edge paint seals the thread in there, can't move, can't come undone. Don't need to shove glue in the hole, and then we're all sorted. Give it a beautiful crease all the way around. Get the iron nice and hot, but don't forget to test your iron temperature on some scrap, because you can burn leather. Leather is skin at the end of the day, you can burn it. This was hard. This was one of the hardest projects I've made, and not because it's a difficult pattern. It's not a difficult pattern. It took me 20 minutes to make, because this leather was really, really bad. I'm not actually sure why it was so bad. The fibers were incredibly loose. The stitching holes didn't stay in the right position. They kept moving around. I'm surprised I got it to look as nice as I did. That is not me blowing my own horn, but I was slightly surprised how good it turned out, given how shockingly bad this skin was. This took 2 coats of edge filler, and then 5 coats of Uniter's edge paint, which was colour matched to the actual piece. It was a lot of edge painting, just because the fibers were so absorbent. It took a long time to get it completely flat. But I'm obviously not showing you all of that, because it would bore the living daylights out of you, and I actually want you to watch all of my content. If you're wondering about my edge painting, I have an entire tutorial, which I might update in the coming couple of months actually, of how to paint your edges, how to get them looking flawless every single time. I'm not going to talk about it much in this, just because I have another video where I go over the whole thing, and again, I want you to watch all my videos. So go check that out and let me know in the comment section down below if you want me to do a updated edge paint tutorial, because a couple of things I do now that I didn't do back then, so there has been some changes. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will leave you to enjoy the pretty shots at the end of the fancy edges and the glamour shot right at the end. Have a phenomenal rest of your week, whenever it is that you're watching this. Take care.